I am delighted to say our next guest is with us, Sean Maguire. Good morning to you. How are you?
How are you, lads? All good, how are you?
What's the crack with you?
Nothing, but I'm just back up in Preston now. The manager gave us a day off today, so we've had a good couple of days training Monday, Tuesday, and then off today, and then prepare ourselves tomorrow and Friday for the game on Saturday.
And I guess the atmosphere ahead of a massive playoff like this is both excitement and a little bit of nervousness.
Yeah, I think it probably hasn't sunk in with the boys yet, because the last probably couple of months, probably no one expected Coventry to sneak their way into the playoffs. I think we went on a mad run. I think we lost one game in 20. We saw ourselves kind of just edge ourselves into the playoffs like the last 2-3 weeks of the season, which was brilliant. The home support, the way sport's been unreal since I've been here, and long may that continue into Saturday.
Have you had many Wembley experiences over the course of your career, Shawnee, or?
Just one when obviously I was in the Irish squad against England during COVID. We have a strange one that I was on the bench. I think we lost 3-0. I was on the bench for that game. But other than that, I don't even think I've been to a Wembley game to watch a game. So this will be my probably first proper one involved in something at Wembley.
Richest game in football as well. Like for a team like Coventry, you've had a little bit of top flight pedigree, I guess, across the years. There must be some serious excitement in the city as well.
Oh, it's brilliant. I think somebody said 2001 was the last time they were in the top flight of English football, and 5 years ago they were in a League 2 playoff final. I was speaking to my buddy Peter Sweeney. He actually played in that final for Exeter against Coventry, and to see, you know, the rise in, you know, the football club from 5 years ago playing in League 2 to potentially playing in the Premier League is fairy tale stuff.
Where did the mad run come from? When you joined, I think they were 13th in the table. Is that about right?
Yeah, I was speaking to Luke the other day about this. He said I think we were 15th.
Right.
So I think we've lost two in 23, 24 games, which is remarkable considering it's the championship, you know, the most competitive league probably in Europe. You know, it's relentless, like game after game, and you know, to only lose 2 games in that short amount of time, especially 5 months, it's a lot of credit to, you know, the manager, the boys, and it's unbelievable the run that we've actually gone on.
But what do you put it down to? Like, is everybody just confident and feeling themselves and understanding each other? Was it like any idea? I know if you can answer this question really well, you're going to be an absolute gazillionaire as a manager down the line. But what?
I don't know. The togetherness within the squad is probably the best I've seen. To be honest, and you know, in football, the more you win games, the more you go on a run, the more confidence you get, and you get like the likes of like Victor Jokeres scoring every week. You know, Gustavo Hamer. I'd say probably the 2 best players in the league, and since I joined Coventry, they've been unbelievable. When you get them 2 boys firing, we can beat anyone out there. But it's not just about them 2. I think we've a really good squad, got some really, really good players, and the manager has got us playing in a way that is just fluid. And I think we go into the last couple of months thinking we can win pretty much any game, home or away, because we got different setup for being at home, different setup for being away. But obviously it's going to be different kettle of fish now at Wembley on Saturday. We've drew against Luton twice this year, so it'll be a really tight game.
You mentioned the manager there, Mark Robbins. I think all Manchester United fans will remember him for scoring the goal in 1990 against, I think it was Forest in the FA Cup that saved Alex Ferguson's career at the time as manager. Went on to play for Norwich and Leicester among other clubs. Was a striker as well, Shawnee, Mark Robbins. So is that something that you've been able to utilise in terms of words of advice and little nuggets of information from someone like him as manager?
Yeah, definitely. He does take his strikers away 2 or 3 times a week to work on work on finishing, working on movement and stuff like that. And I feel a lot sharper since I've joined the football club in January. Obviously, you said that he's played at the highest level. He's been there and done that, and I suppose to get different tips and different kind of things from him has definitely helped me. I know I've only played maybe about 7 games, been involved in 7 games this season, but I've been really enjoying playing under him, training with him every day. And as you say, like, he's brought the club from League 2 to the Premier League in the space of 5 years. That's unbelievable. I don't think you'll see that every day over here. So fair play to him. And yeah, as I said there, it is working well, and hopefully we've one more big game on Saturday, and hopefully he can create history and do it for the first time, bringing a club from League 2 to the Premier League in that short amount of time.
You said there you're back up in Preston. You obviously spent 5.5 good years at Preston. Are you still living in Preston, or?
Yeah, so I come back to Preston like maybe once every couple of weeks. Pretty much on our days off, I just come back up, try to get stuff organised. I just renting a place in Birmingham at the moment. So I still got my house in Preston, so anytime I do get a day off, I come up the road. I just had to get a few things organised, just to get my shoes and stuff for our suits on Saturday, stuff like that. So it's
can't be wearing trainers and suits, can you?
I was thinking about that. I got into the captain, but obviously it's the captain's calls and he wanted black shoes, so can't disagree on.
Yeah, famously you wear the wrong stuff at Wembley on a big day and it doesn't end well if the team loses.
You'll be a meme or you'll be some sort of video and that'll be you all over the internet for about a week.
So your contractual situation, are you out at the end of the season with Coventry and a free agent, or what's the story with that?
So I've had a few conversations with the manager, I suppose the last couple of months, and I'm just seeing how things are, see what the scenario is come after Saturday, whether if that's staying in Coventry or going elsewhere. I'll have to just take time to think and see what my options are. Yeah, been my first time being out of contract or free agent for the first time maybe since I left West Ham when I was younger, when I went to Dundalk that time. So I really enjoyed my time at Coventry, so if there's the option there to stay in Coventry, I'll just have to think about it and see where the options are.
Are you relaxed about that whole situation, or is it actually a bit of a minor stress not fully knowing exactly what next season's going to be like, and whether or not you need to buy a gaff down there or rent something long term? Because these are kind of the human decisions that that we as fans frequently forget. Like, actually you have a lot of logistical bullshit to get through depending on where you're going to be. Yeah,
that's the worst thing, not knowing where the unknown of, as you said there, like renting a house or bringing your stuff from your house where I am in Preston to a different part of the country. I wouldn't say I'm stressed about it. I think I'm pretty relaxed. I know, as I said there, it's probably the first time in my career where I find myself not having like cement contract for the following season, but I'm relaxed about it, and whatever will be, and I'll see what happens in the summer.
It's funny, we had an Irish cricketer on the show yesterday, Shawnee, and he was talking about that, like getting into his late 20s and being more comfortable with things like that. Funny enough, he was out of contract as a cricketer as well at one point for the first time in his career, and had to deal with it, and I guess used different things, and meditation was one of those. And I remember reading before from yourself that you decided to delete Twitter off your phone a couple of years ago, and social media was obviously one of those things where you could be having a brilliant season, a couple of bad games, and all of a sudden everyone's saying you're shit or whatever online. So has that been a help to you, kind of relaxing the social media use?
Yeah, definitely mentally. As I said there, I haven't used Twitter maybe over in a couple of years. Probably the only social media I probably use is Instagram, and even at that I rarely go on that. But good. Some things come good from social media, like Twitter and stuff like that, but also there's the bad things. But when I was at Preston, I'd always tell the young lads, that a lot of them would go in on their phone, look up their name and stuff like that, and I was like, try stay away from that, because for now it might be good when you have a good game, but if you do when you have a bad game, it'll only just get in your head, and it might not affect you the first time or the second time, but maybe later down the line it would, because it definitely did affect me at the time. You know, I had a habit like going onto Twitter, searching my name or whatever, and I said to myself, I said to my wife, was like, oh, I'm just not doing that anymore. And definitely been in a better place since then. It just gives you that clear mind, and that stress of like looking on your phone, because if you start reading things over and over again, you'll start to believe it even if it's not true. For example, like if you hear someone say shit, even if you're confident in yourself, you know you're not a bad player, you know you're a good player, but if you read it over and over again, you start to believe it. And at that time it did affect me, but first thing I did was delete the app, and I haven't looked back since.
Did you get advice on that? Like, was somebody able to say there's a relatively straightforward step you can take that's going to massively help you, and that's just deleting it, or did you have to get to that point yourself?
Yeah, I had to take matters on my own hands, to be fair. Like, there wasn't anyone at Preston or whatever that would say, look, you're better off being off social media and stuff like that. I just had to take it into my own hand, and I haven't looked back. To be fair, it probably would have helped me if somebody did come to me closer at the time, because it was going on for about a year and a half. So,
jeez, I didn't know that. Like, because if you think about it, right, there's always some clown on Twitter who wants to scream abuse at whoever, and if you're searching for that person, it's like if you were in a stadium going over to the people screaming abuse at you on purpose and listening to what they had to say, and like when you put it like that, you'd never do it. But there's just an addiction in the social media apps that we all suffer from, where it's like, I'm going to keep flicking and keep scrolling and keep scrolling. But I guess when they're actually talking about you and your livelihood, it's very hard to train your brain to say, this doesn't matter, this is fine, that's just some clown.
Oh yeah, like I remember some games I played brilliant and I'd score, but I'd always find that one person or one tweet would say something, and I'd be like, fucking hell, it must have been shite then, you know what I mean? But then even in the bad games, I still do it. I don't know why. I just come home on a Saturday and I still do it, but thank God I don't do that anymore. I wish I could go back in time and just tell myself not to do it, but it is what it is, and thank God, like, I don't do it anymore, and you know, the only way is forward.
Yeah, and look, I think it's really interesting, you know, whatever career you have when you finish playing, maybe it is involved in the game, but it's good advice to be able to say, I've been through this with younger players. I don't know, have you, like, obviously you've loads of time left, you know, you could play, nowadays you can play to 38, 39 if you want to, and you always seem like somebody who looks after yourself. So have you thought about what the career is after the playing stops?
Yeah, I'm going to start my coaching badges next summer with a couple of boys. I started doing a course with St Andrew College a couple of months ago in strength and conditioning, so that lasts about 4.5 years. Other than that, no. Obviously you said there, like, some boys play till 38, 39. I want to pull on my career as much as I can, because I love doing what I'm doing. Like, you know, it's, you know, sometimes you got to pinch yourself when you were that 4 or 5 year old kids wanting to be a footballer. You know, being involved in a game like the weekend, you know, being involved with a team potentially on the brink of the Premier League. So it is, you know, the stuff of dreams, and as I said, there's hundreds of thousands of kids wanting to be a footballer, and you know, thankfully I was one of those, and I'm, you know, grateful for that. So what I'm going to do when I'm done, I'm not sure about that, but I'll have things in the background where I know I can fall back on when football's done.
The League of Ireland background has given you a solid start in football as well, Shawnee. Like, you are definitely one of the great success stories of the League of Ireland. I'm sure it's a league you still keep readily in touch with.
Yeah, definitely. Like, every Friday night for, you know, every second week we're on away days, myself and Luke, we pick a game and we watch it. He usually wants to watch Pats, so you want to watch Cork, so sometimes we have to flip a coin and go with it. But yeah, so it's something that I've been, you know, looking through the last 6 years. It has changed quite a lot since I played in there, the Derry, Shamrock Rovers are up there near the top, whereas, Cork and Dundalk were up there for a couple of years when I left. So it's definitely something that lives long in my heart. Whether I go back there in there in years to come, or hopefully, when I finish my coaching badges and look to go down that route, I'd love to work back in the League of Ireland in some way or form.
So coming home at some point is on the cards, is it, even just to live?
Yeah. I'll probably move back to Cork, to be fair. I love the town. I only spent about a year and a half, but my wife's from Cork. Quite close with her family as well, so it's in a few years, definitely be looking back to go back to Cork some stage. I
was in Cork yesterday, and funny enough, your name came up as like an all-time Cork City legend. They do love you too. You're like John Milan loving his county, even though it's not your county. You do love Cork City.
Born in Kilkenny, bled into Cork, wasn't
it? Your Wikipedia says you're born in Luton. Does that add a bit of intrigue to the weekend as well?
Yeah, so I still have a lot of my aunties and uncles that live in Luton, and my uncle actually is a season ticket holder for Luton. And he texted me there the other day. He's in America for the game. He's absolutely good, but he was like, whatever happens, he'll be happy for me. He's been following me since my West Ham days, since I've been younger. So it brings a bit more of an added taste to it. I was born in Luton. I moved to Ireland when I was a couple of months old, but I still have a lot of family there, a few friends, so it's a bit of a strange one. I'll have a lot of family in the Luton end, and then obviously I'll have my own family in the Coventry end, so it brings that added little bit of taste to the fixture.
Do you have open lines of communication with Stephen Kenny at all? Sean, is it 11 or 12 caps? Like, do you still harbour ambitions of keeping adding to those caps?
Shut that door, I know I haven't been playing as much as last year, but even when I was, playing for Preston, when Stephen took charge and scored goals, it still wasn't getting picked. So it's one of those ones. He's never been in contact with me since the last time I've been called up. So it's, don't know what happened there or whatever. But watched the game against France there a couple of months ago, and they done really well. So it's. Then we got 2 games now next month, 2 big games. Or is it one friendly and one?
Yes, the Greece game up first, isn't it?
Yeah. So it's a big. It's a big game, for the boys. So you're hoping to get some points on the board, and then because they did really well against France and very unlucky. You should have at least come away with a point,
It's Greece and Gibraltar.
Sorry, yeah, and the two qualifying games. Is that you would have worked, Sean, I think, with Stephen, wouldn't you, at Dundalk? So is that a surprise that he hasn't been in touch with you, or that there haven't been lines of communication, I guess?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah. So I suppose it'd be nice to keep in touch in some shape or form, whether that's a text, whatever. It's probably not my responsibility to get onto him. I suppose he could have sent me a text here or there, but it is what it is. Our communications were probably shut the last time I got called up. I think my last game up for Ireland was Bulgaria or Belarus at home, I think it was, or Finland away. So yeah, since then we haven't been in contact. I suppose I haven't been playing as much maybe the last year or so I never expected to get called up or whatever. But as I said, when I was playing games and scoring goals at Preston, I was only on standby, and that's, I think, every time he made a squad, I only got called up for someone dropping out. So it is what it is.
One last thing, the period of time when you're out of the team at Preston and then getting to a new manager in Mark Robbins and getting some game involvement, did that give you your taste? Had you fallen a little bit out of love with football at Preston when you weren't getting game time?
Yeah, I suppose I spent a little bit too much time at Preston. I was there for 5.5 years. Maybe I should have left 6 months a year previous, and I felt I needed a fresh start and a new change room, a new club, a new training ground, and it's gone, really well. Obviously, like us being in the playoffs, I've played 7 games and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed my last 5 months. I've learned a lot from Mark Robbins, and definitely it's because, as we mentioned earlier, he scored that goal, that famous goal, as you said, to keep Sir Alex in his job, and he's been there and done that as a player and as a manager, and to be involved and be part of this team. I'm grateful for the opportunity, and I've been, on the training pitch and in the gaffer's office having many conversations. We're on the same wavelength. So, look, football's a mad game. I could end up, coming on Wembley Saturday and scoring a winner, and I keep saying that to myself, manifesting that situation and thinking positive. So, anything can happen, and hopefully, whether it comes off somebody's backside and goes in the back, then I'm sure the whole Coventry will take the week off work and be on a party session. But it's one where everyone's looking forward to, and there's some real buzz around the place.
Yeah, or come on and take the winning penalty, Shawnee. Whatever happens the weekend, however it manifests, best of luck. Thanks a million. Cheers,
pal. Thank you.
It's Sean Maguire giving us some thoughts there ahead of the weekend. Coventry play Luton in the playoff